Hi everyone, Elsie Jensen here. Today we are going to make brats with sauerkraut, onions on some homemade naan, and then we're going to make some peanut butter bars and sweet potato fries. So let's get the naan dough starting. We're going to start with 1 cup of sourdough discard. We're going to pour in 1 whole cup. There we go. Give it a good scoop. And I'll set this out of my way. And then we are going to add in a 1/2 cup of sour cream. You could also use plain yogurt for this, but I never had plain yogurt. So sour cream it is. So we need just about a 1/2 cup of this. A little bit more. Okay. And then we are going to add in a 1/4 cup of olive oil. And 6 tablespoons of water, which is 90 milliliters. And we're going to give this a good mix. Kind of dilute that sourdough discard. Get all the clumps out of your yogurt or sour cream. And we'll mix it together. Then we're going to add in salt, baking powder, and baking soda. And then last, we'll add in our flour. So I'm just making sure to mix this up as well. And there we go. We have most of the clumps out, which is perfect. Now we're going to add in a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. There. And 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So we got 1, 2, and then we're going to add in 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I'm just going to free-ball it here. We're going to give this a good stir, mix in that baking soda powder and the baking soda and the baking powder and the salt. Try to make sure it gets all cooped up. This is going to cause your dough or your batter here to get really fluffy because it's going to start reacting with the sour cream and the discard. But that's going to lead to a really pillowy, fluffy naan. There you go. You can see it's already starting to grow in size.
I have a question. What type of utensil is that?
That is called a dough whisk. So not so great mixing without the flour, but once we add the flour in, it does a really great job of mixing it together and creating a dry shag that we'll need. It's better than a spoon because it allows the dough to pass through it. And it's perfect for our naan, which we'll be having with our brats and onions and sauerkraut, kind of a little German lunch here today. And we're going to add in our flour. We're going to add in 3 cups of all-purpose flour. So 1, 2, and 3. Slide this out of the way. And then we'll use our dough whisk here. It's also called a Danish whisk too. And we're going to mix it up until a nice little shag forms. And then we're going to turn our dough out and knead it till it forms together. And then we'll let it sit and hydrate until we are ready to divide it into our little naans. There we go. So we've got our nice kind of dry shag forming. I'm going to push out all this dough, and we're going to turn this out on our counter and give it a couple good kneads until it forms together, and we'll let it sit for a few minutes to hydrate before we start cooking it up. Here, just scrape out any of that. And this, if you've never had naan before, It's better than pita bread. It's very soft and pillowy bread that you kind of toast up on a skillet. And then you brush with some butter, and it is so delicious. But it will serve in the place of like a hot dog bun here for our brats. Kind of make it a little nicer and a little more delicious. Here we go. I'm just making sure to pick up any of those little flour crumbs. And we're just giving it a good few kneads to bring it together. But it's a nice soft dough. And that the sour cream, you also traditionally it's made with yogurt, plain yogurt, but it keeps it a really tender bread, and it's just delicious. Okay, we're gonna let this sit here and hydrate. And while we do this, we're gonna get our sweet potatoes prepped up to go into the oven for our kind of sweet potato fries. So we've got 2 sweet potatoes here.
You have a question? Can you go over the ingredients one more time for the naan?
The naan, yes. So you start out with a cup of sourdough discard. Then you are going to add in a half a cup of sour cream, a fourth a cup of oil, 6 tablespoons of water, and you're going to give that all a good mix together. Then you're going to add in 1.5 teaspoons of salt, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And give that all mixed together. And then you'll add in 3 cups of flour. And you'll be able to, you'll mix it up into the dough like that, shape it. You let it sit for about 10 minutes. Okay. But we do have this video uploaded onto our page. Also, we have, I believe, a recipe card for this uploaded onto our page. So you could always go to that link and find it and cook it along from there as well. Plus, we'll upload this video as well. So you can always recreate them at home. Just find the video and watch along again. Here we go. We're going to peel off this skin because I don't find these sweet potato skins very nice when they cook up. They're very woodsy, chewy, just don't have a lot of great flavor. So we've got our sweet potato skins. Just toss them. And then we're going to kind of slice these in half the long way, and then we're going to cut them into kind of look like almost like a potato wedge, but a little bit thinner. Oh, forgot that little piece there. So we're going to cut them down the middle. And then we're just going to make nice little kind of wedges here. And then we'll season them up. So it'll be kind of like not a true French fry shape, more like a chip, but I find that they allows you to coat it with a lot of seasonings and flavor, and they're just delicious. And when I make sweet potato fries, I always make them savory. I'm not a sweet girl when it comes to sweet potatoes. I like them salty and savory. So last time I think I made sweet potato fries, I did them Cajun style. These are going to have more of just an all-around spice, but they'll be delicious.
You have a question? Do you know what you're making for dinner yet?
Yes, we're going to actually have ribs tonight, baby back ribs. We're going to do them in the oven, slow cooked, with some twice baked potatoes. We're going to bake up our chocolate sourdough, and I think I'm going to do some creamed kale with dinner tonight. So I actually have a little bit of a plan today, but it's one of those things where ribs, take a while to cook, so you kind of have to have a plan. You can't just be like, oh, we're having ribs. Okay, let's put them in our bowl here. And there we go. We're going to get a nice coat of olive oil on them. Let me grab my olive oil. And you want to probably start with about 2 tablespoons because you want them to be really coated well for them to crisp up and be like a fry versus just a roast. We are going to add a little bit of garlic salt. Do this side. So we'll do a good shake. And then we are going to add some kind of an everything blend on it. About a teaspoon and a half. Good amount. This is going to give it a nice kind of savory flavor. And then we're going to add in a little bit of black pepper. about a half a teaspoon. And then the thing that really makes these delicious, we're going to add in some breadcrumbs, and that gives it a nice crunchy ness to it. So we're going to add in about, I want to say like a 1/3 cup of breadcrumbs. And I'm using, these are Italian seasoned, but you can also use plain. You don't also have to use panko for it. These are panko, so they'll have a bigger crunch to them, but they're going to be delicious. And then we're going to really coat them up with our spices and the breadcrumbs here. Make sure they all get a nice coating on it. There we go. And then we're going to spread these out on our baking sheet, and we're going to bake them on our air fryer setting at 425. So let me grab a baking sheet out. A little dry. So we're going to put these on our baking sheet. And you want to make sure that they're not on top of each other. I'm going to save my little crumblies in there because we're going to put those over the top. But just spread them out. Make sure if you have any that are touching, spread them out so that they all crisp up nicely. There we go. That's why you're going to want to use a big baking sheet. This one, these were only 2 sweet potatoes, but do you see it makes a whole bunch of sweet potato fries. There we go. And then I'm going to take my little crumblies that I have left in my little thing, and we're just going to sprinkle these over the top. This will just give an extra little crunchiness to it. There we go. And okay, let me give my hands a quick wash, and we're going to pop these in the oven. Okay, so I have my air fryer setting to 425. If you don't have an air fryer setting on your oven, you can use convection bake at 425. It works pretty much the same way. If you don't have a convection setting on your oven, just do it at 450. The convection blows the air around, so it makes it a little bit hotter versus a traditional one. And we're going to have these cook for about 15 minutes. I'm going to put my timer for 15 minutes, and they should be nice and crispy and delicious. Okay, while we are waiting for those to cook, let's get our onions sauteing for our bratwurst. We're going to kind of caramelize them first, and then we're going to throw in our bratwursts. Here we go. So I've just got one Valdalia onion or yellow onion here. So these are great for sauteing. We're going to pull off this whole outer skin. And since these are going to be going in our little naan pockets, like a little kind of pita bread almost, we're going to do nice long skinny slivers on it. So they'll be like long and skinny in it. There we go. Now you could also throw in some peppers if you wanted to, but we're just going to be doing onions and sauerkraut today. Keeping it kind of simple. Especially since we had sauteed peppers with our dinner last night. We did a scarpariello, which is like an Italian chicken, sausage, and onions and peppers dish. So today, we'll keep it a little different, a little similar though. We are going to add in about a tablespoon of olive oil onto our nonstick skillet here. And we'll add in our onions, and we're going to let these caramelize up first before we add in garlic and whatnot. Let's go over here to our our naan dough. Give it another little knead, but you can see it's much more elastic now. It's got a soft, pillowy texture to it. Just give it one more little knead. And then since we have 5 brats, I'm going to divide this up into 5 pieces. Grab my dough cutter. 5 as equal as I can make it. We'll see how equal these are. That way I will have a nice kind of big, pillowy. Not equal at all, but there we go. I think these will be fairly equal. I need my rolling pin too. Let me turn on my skillet here, get it nice and warm, because you want your skillet to be hot, but we don't put any oil on it because there's oil in the bread. Or the dough, I should say. It's not bread yet. Here we go. So we're going to give this a nice roll out. I'm going to try to make these elongated because they're going to be going with our brats and our sauerkraut. So this will be like the bun for it. So instead of having it as a true circle, I want it to be more long. That way the brat will fit nicely in there with our onions and our sauerkraut.
You can't make circles anyway.
I can't make circles, you're right. Although I try to make it more elongated and it turns more into a circle. And now these you're going to roll them fairly thin, but they will pillow up a little bit. There we go. That one should, it's like a circle. I try to make a circle and it's a square. And then I try to make an oval and it's a circle. Apparently my dough geometry is off. Okay. Let me move this out of here and we're going to make our peanut butter bars. We're going to prep up for these. Got a little itch on my nose. Let me grab first, and let's give these onions a little bit of a stir. I'm going to turn them down just a smidge. Here we go. Give it a nice little toss.
You got a question? What do brats taste like?
I'm trying to think. They're not like a kielbasa or a Polish sausage at all. They have the texture of an Italian sausage, because they're like a pork sausage in a casing like that. But they have, I want to say, it's really, I'm not sure how to describe it. I want to say, because they don't actually have a beer taste. They just have this very unique, let me see if I can tell what spices are used in them. And that way might help me describe it better. Okay, it's a pork sausage. I don't really know how to describe it. It's such a unique taste that it's like thing, but just think of an Italian sausage without the Italian spices, but with like salt and pepper. So it's that texture of that, but it's just like a savory sausage, but not like a breakfast sausage and not like a Polish sausage, which has a little bit of the sweeter spicing. It's very mild in the spicing sense, so you really get that ground pork flavor to it, like a garlic and black pepper kind of flavor. I don't know. My husband's looking at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, I'm not crazy.
I would literally just say a heartier Polish sausage.
But it doesn't. Polish sausage has a sweet savor. I know. Heartier's wrong. You're wrong. We don't like his assessment of that. Okay. So we're going to make some peanut butter bars because school's out tomorrow for my kids, and they love these little peanut butter bars that I make. So we figured we'd do something nice. We're going to start by crushing up. It's about 3 cups of graham crackers that you need, but I find just using 5 of these mini packs or 3 of the bigger packs work well. And we're going to cream together some butter and powdered sugar and peanut butter. So let's add in a stick of butter. You want it softened or room temperature, but not melted. So 1 whole stick of butter. And then we're going to add in 1.5 cups of peanut butter. Now, this is where I'm going to tell you, don't try to measure your peanut butter out with a measuring cup because it's impossible to get in and out. Just visually, if you need it, get a visual cup and measure it that way. Trust me, it will make it so much easier. So I just kind of do it. And this one's a recipe that if you put too much peanut butter in, you're not going to go wrong. So this is about 3/4 of a cup with that one. We need it kind of twice. Here. So we've got our peanut butter. So 1.5 cups of peanut butter. You want to use creamy with 1 or 1/2 cup of peanut butter. And I'm going to slide this off. We're going to use a little bit more peanut butter when we melt our chocolate in a little bit, but we want to let that kind of there. I'm going to use a mix master for this. Sorry, you got to eat the peanut butter. It's so good. Okay, let me get my hand mixer because it just is easier to do it with a hand mixer than by hand, especially when we add the powdered sugar in. But let's cream these two butters together until we've got a nice kind of smooth, creamy peanut butter. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. I think Teddy might need a little bit of help. Here, I'm going to take this. A teddy bear came out of his nap. He went to the bathroom, so he needs a little bit of help. So, my husband's going to go help him while I show you this. Right now, I am sauteing up our onions here. Just giving them a nice little twist. Now we have over here our peanut butter and our butter mixed together, and we're going to add in 1.5 cups of powdered sugar here. So let's get our nice big scoop of powdered sugar. So we're going to add in, that's 1 whole cup, and now we're going to add in a 1/2 cup more of powdered sugar. And we are going to cream these into the peanut butter and butter mixture. There we go. I'm going to mix it up until it's nice and smooth. And this is where I say you can always do this with your hands with some elbow grease, but it works a bit better with our hand mixer. Okay. There we go. We're getting it together. This is going to add a nice little sweet flavor to it, and it's going to be delicious. Everybody loves it. Okay, looks like I've got my helper back. Okay, beautiful. Looks like our skillet is getting nice and hot here to touch. There we go. So let's stir our onions one more time. I'm going to turn these down just a smidge. Let my skillet got a little bit warm, so we're going to let it kind of sit residual for just a second. But we're going to toss in a little bit of onions or garlic here, about 1/2 teaspoon. We're going to let it saute up. There we go. This is just going to add a lovely flavor with this when we add in our sauerkraut in just a second, and our sausages. Okay. Now our skillet has cooled down a smidge. We're going to add our first naan on it. And what you do is you cook it for like a minute or so on each side, and then we'll brush it with some butter, but it will be delicious. Okay, we're going to add in our crushed graham crackers in just a second, but let's get our bratwursts on here to start cooking. We'll add the sauerkraut in last, but you want to have the bratwurst cook first because that sauerkraut will make it will sweat it out and it'll be all liquidy in here. So we just got a standard pack of brats at the store. Take your knife, make a nice little slit down the line of each one of these. This is to prevent them from filling up with hot air and juices in there. And we're going to add these into our pan. And we're going to let them saute with our onions. So that is just to prevent them, since they're inside a casing, from popping and bursting out. Now, you could, if you want to cook them really fast, you can cut them down, butterfly them, and then saute them like that. A lot of people will do that on a cooktop, but this works well. There we go. So we're going to just push our onions all the way around to the sides. We're going to cook it all together here. Beautiful. Look at our naan. I'm going to grab our cutting board out to place this naan on. When it's cooked, that way it will rest. Let's get our graham crackers. We're going to kind of smash these up. I just kind of give them a good beating in the bag. And then we're just going to add them right in here. And we'll mix them. I like a more crumbly, not fine, so I don't buy the prepackaged graham cracker crumbs, but you can if you like them finer. I like the nice chunks of graham crackers in like the mix. It gives you a nice crunchy texture to it, so it kind of breaks up the monotony of the creaminess. And you just want to use like a honey graham cracker. Don't get the cinnamon graham crackers, because those just won't add the right flavor to this. There we go. And you need about 3 cups of graham cracker crumbs, which I find is about 5 or 6 of the smaller ones, 5 to 6 of the smaller ones, or 3 of the bigger packs. There we go. And then 1. Nice. There we go. We're going to pour this in here. And then we'll use our mixer to mix it up and put it in there, which will help kind of blend it a little bit smaller too. But it will bring it together and it'll give it a nice kind of crunchy but creamy texture. And it's going to be absolutely delicious. Here we go. Beautiful. Okay, so this is our creamy peanut butter filling for our peanut butter bars. Let's give our little sausages a nice little twist. There we go. Perfect. Keeps them nice and straight too. If you don't do that little cut on them, what happens is they'll curl more, and these will keep them nice and straight. Let me grab a bit of softened butter that we can rub on our things, and I'm going to roll out my next little naan here. Just get my graham crackers out because we don't want any of that. So we're going to see if I can make more of an oval with this one versus a circle. Okay. So we'll do a nice kind of long. And there we go. Yeah, apparently I only know how to make circles. There we go. So we're going to take this naan, we're going to put it on, and then we're going to cover it with some room temperature butter. This is nice and soft, melts on it right away. The butter is really key to keeping it nice and pillowy soft. Our potato fries, our sweet potato fries are ready to come out. Okay. Beautiful. Look at our lovely sweet potato fries. They're extra crispy, delicious. They're nice and tender. The breadcrumbs get extra crispy, so they give you a nice little crunch to it. They're nice and hot. It's beautiful. Let's give them, let me turn off my timer over here, or it's going to beep at me. Okay. I always like to give them a little, slide them around so that they can kind of cool and crisp up versus getting stuck to your pan. There we go. So here's our yummy sweet potato fries. They're more like little chips, I will say. Let's see how we are cooking here. Maybe a minute more on that one. Turn up a smidge. Rotate these now to a side. There we go. And you kind of are going to cook them like on all 4 sides that way to cook them all the way through. And we're ready for our peanut butter bars. Let me grab a little bit of non-stick spray. So in order for your peanut butter bars to slide out really easily, you could line it with parchment paper if you wanted. Use a little non-stick cooking spray, I think works great. Just a little spray. And that way, once it refrigerates and cools, the peanut butter bars will slide out versus sticking to the bottom of your tray. Let's get these all. Got to make sure you get all of this goodness out. My kids were here. This is what they would be licking. And they would be like, Mom, you don't need to shake it at all. Just keep those in there. There we go. And then let's grab our spatula. We're just going to scoop this all out into our little pan. You could also use a square pan if you wanted, but somehow, and this might be shocking, I do not have an 8x8 square pan or a 9x9. I used to back in the day, but we're such a big family that I rarely make anything that small. And so I just use my little pie dishes for any time I need that size.
I know where a couple unused are right now.
Oh, you do?
Your mom's house.
Oh, yes. I should probably go steal them for my mom. Okay. We're going to press that down in a second, but I'm going to rotate our sausages. There we go. I'm going to turn it right here. It needs a little somebody to lean on. And I have it cooking low and slow. Let's get a little bit of parchment paper here. And we're going to push it on top of our bars to press it down. Parchment paper works great because it won't stick to it. So we're going to just put it on here. And the trick is you got to firmly press it out and try to get rid of any air gaps. There we go. But you know what? I actually think it's going to be cute because this is going to look like a peanut butter cup. You know what I mean? In a circle.
Are you putting chocolate on top?
Yes, of course. Peanut butter bars have chocolate on top, silly goose. It's not like he hasn't had these like 100 times already.
You also made 500 different.
Okay, we've got them pushed out. So beautiful. Now, what we'll do is I'm going to pop this in the freezer to chill while we make our peanut butter base, because you're going to want to keep these refrigerated after you make them so the peanut butter and chocolate doesn't like unthaw. I got it in my hair right there. Okay. Let's see how our, there we go. Give them one more turn. Just going slow and slow to help cook them all the way through. And move that to the side. It's still a little hot. Let's get out a small dish. And we're going to melt some peanut butter in here with some chocolate chips. This is where more peanut butter. This recipe, you're going to need about 2 cups of peanut butter all together. So this is about 1/4 cup of peanut butter. Put it in first for it to melt, and then we'll put the chocolate in. And I do it first, kind of cover the bottom. That way you don't have to do like a double boiler, which is a little bit of a pain. If you put the peanut butter in first, we're going to warm it up nice and low. And then we'll add our chocolate chips on top. That will be a nice fat that will keep the chocolate from scorching or burning, which is really important because you don't want to have burnt chocolate. It has not a good flavor. So we're going to let that warm up just a smidge. Then we're going to add a little bit of semi-sweet chocolate chips to it. Clear this out. We're going to be ready to take our pita bread off. Got nice pillowy crust. Naan. Yes, definitely. I always use it in place of pita bread, but it is naan. It is delicious. It is so much better than pita bread once you've tried it. I find pita bread can be really dry. This is so tender and soft that you don't like, it doesn't dry out. It is so delicious for making like sandwiches like this with it or dipping. I love naan. I think we may have it at least once a week. And it's really easy. Okay. Get this guy out. Let it cook. I'm going to do another rotate. There. These are almost cooked all the way through. And you see how keeping your onions on the very outside prevents them from burning, which means you don't have to do all the extra work of taking them in and out of the like a pan or container. And soon we're going to add in a little bit of beer and a little bit of sauerkraut to kind of cook it up and steam it. Makes just a great flavor, but it's absolutely delicious. And then, of course, my husband will get to enjoy the beer afterwards. Okay, now you can see our peanut butter has started to melt and has coated lovely. See right there at the bottom of our pan. Now we can add in our chocolate chips. We're going to add in about a cup or so, cup and a half. And you can do more if you want an even thicker peanut butter chocolate layer. But we did it in just a 9x9 like kind of cake pan, so we don't need a huge amount. Here we go. And again, I'm going to stir it around. Man overboard. Do a little bit more. Sometimes I make them and I like misjudge and I put way more chocolate, and then we end up having like that thick of a peanut butter chocolate layer, which I mean isn't the worst thing that could happen. Let's see, these are just about cooked through. Beautiful. We're getting this lovely golden brown crust on them, which is just going to have so much nice, delicious flavor in it. Let's add in our beer. We're just using, this is a good old lager, but it's called Bratwurst, which is like the brown Theodore forest. And we're going to add in some sauerkraut. I grab our fork. You need just about, you don't need to go crazy on it. We're going to do, I want to say about a 1/3 cup of sauerkraut in here. You could do more if you absolutely love it, but I like it a little bit more mild. And then we're going to put in our beer. And it'll steam up and just do a little bit at a time. There we go. It smells very like I'm at, you know, I feel like I'm at like, what is it, Oktoberfest in Germany. Smells like beer and sauerkraut. Here we go. And just add in a little bit around because you don't want to drown it. You want that beer to kind of evaporate. And just add in a little bit around because you don't want to drown it. You want that beer to kind of evaporate out and versus drowning it, and then you'll get soggy vegetables. So just a little at a time. We're going to let that steam up. Let's give our chocolate and peanut butter a nice stir here. It's melting up nicely. But you see how doing that peanut butter first really allows the chocolate to get coated in the natural oils in the peanut butter and kind of prevents it from burning, which then takes out the whole step of needing a double boiler, which for those of you who aren't familiar with a double boiler, it's essentially a pot on top of a pot with boiling water underneath. Takes a little bit longer, a little cumbersome, but look, beautiful, perfect. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely turn the heat off of my chocolate here.
You have a question. How much chocolate and peanut butter is in there?
So it is about 1/4 cup of peanut butter and about 1.5 cups of chocolate chips, give or take a smidge because I just eyeballed it. I'll flip this guy. Okay, let's whip up our quick little honey mustard sauce for this, and then we should be almost done here. Grab a spoon. So we're going to use a little bit of mayo in this. So it's like a honey mustard aioli type thing. So we're going to use, that's about 1.5 tablespoons. We'll do 1 more scoop since we've got 5 little schnausages here. And then we're going to give it a good squeeze of some Dijon mustard. You don't want to use the yellow mustard. You want a Dijon. It has better flavor. Then about 1 tablespoon of it. And we're going to put in a squeeze of honey, about a teaspoon, because you don't need too much. Honey's got a big kind of a sweetness to it. Let's give this a nice little stir. And this will be able to drizzle over our sausages with our sauerkraut and onions on it. There we go. Give it a. And now we're going to add a little bit of black pepper. I'm just making sure the honey to mustard ratio is right. We're going to add in about a half a teaspoon of black pepper. Now, if you really wanted to go crazy, you could use a hot honey, and then you could have a bit of a spicier sauce. But again, I'm not a spicy girl. Okay, we're going to turn these guys off because they are just about done. Look at this. You've got this nice kind of delicious caramelized sauerkraut and onions with like a little beer drippings, but these are going to be so delicious on the naan. They're going to pack a whole bunch of flavor. Let's check out. That needs a bit of. Let's grab our peanut butter bars, and then we're going to plate up. So with these, we're going to take our peanut butter mixture that is nice and ooey gooey and melted, and we're going to spread it over the top. I feel like I'm a chocolatier. See how that like lovely chocolate ribbons are forming? I did go through like a stage in high school where I made a bunch of like, I used to make homemade truffles and Reese's peanut butter cups and like mounds and stuff like that. And I did it for like 2-3 years. I used to sell them at my high school bake sale all the time. And everybody and like mounds and stuff like that. And I did it for like 2-3 years. I used to sell them at my high school bake sale all the time. And everybody, they were like so good. And I sold them for like $1 a piece. And I always made bank. And then my friends were like, can you make this for our club's bake sale? And I'm like, I suppose. And I felt like I was making peanut butter cups every single weekend because everybody wanted me to make them and sell them. We're just going to slide this over. There we go. Got this nice. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pop this. I always keep mine in the fridge even after it's firmed up, but you'll pop it in the fridge for about an hour, and that chocolate shell on top should harden, as well as the butter in the the mixture, the peanut butter mixture, and that will just create a nice firm bar that is so good and delicious. We'll have it right there. We'll pop it in there, but let's I'm going to butter this one up. Then we're going to plate up. So we're going to rub our nice little butter over our naan here. That's going to keep it nice and things. Let's roll this one out, and then we're going to plate up our lunch. So this can start cooking, and it's going to be delicious. But it's kind of a great, different way to do brats. I feel like brats are always done just on the grill, outside, in the summer at a picnic or whatnot. This is a really great way to kind of do it differently. Do it with a naan versus a hot dog bun, and make this kind of sauerkraut and onion mixture, which is just delicious. Okay, so we'll grab our first little pillowy naan here. See how soft and flexible it is. And we're going to add our sausage. I kind of maybe made them bigger. We're going to add our onions. These are caramelized onions with the sauerkraut and the beer in it. This is our honey, our creamy like honey mustard sauce. Nice drizzle over. And so what we'll do is when you eat it, you'll have this nice like little pocket. Definitely made them a little big, but that's a-okay. They're still going to be scrumptious. And then we have our delicious sweet potato fries. And these actually are going to taste great with our honey mustard sauce as well. So we've got our delicious pita with our brats in there, our naan with our brats in there, our caramelized onions, sauerkraut, our sweet potato fries that are nice and crispy that we can dip into our honey mustard sauce. And of course, let's not forget this guy. My kids are going to be so excited when they get home. But our peanut butter bars. So we'll chill this in the fridge for an hour. It'll be nice and firm, and then you can cut it, and then it's delicious. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us here today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I try to do live cooking shows every single day, show you what we're making for our family, and hopefully teach you guys something along the way. We do upload all of our videos to the link on our page. So if you ever want to recreate these recipes at home, you can just find that link, rewatch the video, and cook along with me again. But again, thank you guys so much for joining us here today. Don't forget to